So, about 8 years ago, my man Jack here and I bought a duck hunting canoe from Minnesota, and it's so stable that you can stand on it. And as you can see, we added an electric motor and extra ballast that make it super steady, perfect for photography, or if you prefer, blasting ducks out of the sky. We began exploring the creeks and swamps of this magnificent St. Johns River Delta we all live on. What is happening here? Okay. I love the swamps and with their partially submerged tree stumps and roots, especially when they're reflected in the still waters. I call this one Spider Island. And Pac-Man. And swamp lettuce cricket. And turtle spa. And my personal favorite is well, oh yeah, okay. It's called swamp stump rococo. But I got all those shots in the summer and spring and fall. In the winter swamp, there's no rococo inside. I saw I began to see interesting shapes and patterns in the naked tree roots. And but the patterns and shapes were never perfectly reflected in the water. So I decided that if Mother Nature wasn't going to cooperate with me, I would turn to Photoshop and create my own reflections, and I was off to the races. One of my earliest swamp root images was a simple torso. I shot the raw image on Julington Creek. This is how the torso began to take shape and emerge. I cropped it at the water line. I always crop everything at the water line. And then at the sides, a little bit off the top here. And image crop. And then I turn it over on its side. I rotate the image 90 degrees clockwise. Sometimes I do it counterclockwise, but whatever. And then in order to make a composite, I keep a 30 by 20 inch white page. On default, and then I float the white page in Windows. And I've messed this up royally. Okay, let me go back here. Well, I don't know how I did this. I'm sorry.
I got it in the window.
Hmm?
You know, when you close the white thing, it'll go in.
Yeah. I'm still not, I'm in the wrong place here. Okay, here we have the Venus meatball. And my white page. Which I float in Windows. Now, I click on my root and go to my move tool, move onto the white page.
Closed captioning and other consideration for mom provided by. Only two things are forever: love and mutual customizing your car insurance so you only pay for what you need. And if
We don't have to do anything. Cindy's online, everybody, and we put Cindy in charge of muting everybody. Hey, Michelle, can you mute your screen?
So now I go back to my root and I rotate it, flip it horizontally to make the mirror image. And there I have the composite. And I go to layer and flatten the image. And that now you have a solid composite.
Why do you need a white background?
Well, because you have to have something to put the two images onto. It's really just a sort of form of layers, but layers is more expensive, more complicated to explain. So I do it like this. It's kind of, but otherwise, you see now. So now you have once you crop this down. You end up with a raw composite. At this point, you step back and see if it evokes anything. And I see an extremely obese female figure here, which brings to mind the Venus of Willendorf, which is a little figurine that was excavated in Austria about 100 years ago. And she was carved about 30,000 years ago, and it's thought to be the oldest non-utile artifact in Western civilization. And this root torso also evoked the work of Julia Shea. She's a Los Angeles photographer, and she's won a lot of big awards in the last few years with images like this. They're very, very powerful, striking. And of course, it also reminds me of Lizzo. And but back to the raw composite. I take this over to camera raw filter, excuse me, and to do some basic processing. So I go, I give it some texture, some clarity, some vibrance, and always add curves because it gives the edges a little oomph. And then we always have to sharpen. And it's a little much. So now I go back into Photoshop, and I see a real problem up with the corners up here. You've got these sticks that don't make any sense. So I take my brush, and I make sure it's on black. And the brush doesn't wish to cooperate. Brush tool, there we go. And I just close up. Of course, in real time, I would blow this up a few hundred times and really get the edges very tight. But you see, get the general idea. My torso now has some shoulders. And then I start then I realize this image needs something to pull it together, some unifying thing, a color or a shape or something. And I see these grass fronds here. And they make a nice juxtaposition with the fleshy roots. So I decide I'm going to make I'm going to with my brush. It doesn't want to do it. I'm going to paint all these little grass fronds lavender. And it's a long, laborious process. I usually turn on the opera channel of my satellite radio while I do this. It takes about an hour or so of very highly magnified painting. And I finally end up with Venus of Willendorf in her lavender scanties. So then my swap images grew in complexity. So I caught this raw image. On Deep Creek one February. I thought I'd had a hopelessly non-productive day that got nothing but swamp mush. But nevertheless, I cranked up the opera channel and began cropping at the water line and on the sides. And a little bit off the top, and then image crop, and then image rotate 90 degrees clockwise. Or
I have a question.
yes?
Do you do any adjustments like exposure or anything before you get to this process, or you do everything after you?
You mean
let's say if you-
while I'm on the creek shooting?
No, after you imported your image, do you do any adjustments to exposure or?
All camera raw filter stuff you do after you've already cropped it.
Yeah, usually. But sometimes I'll go, if I see something that needs to be, done, I'll just tear it up and start over. But basically, I like to see the whole thing. Okay, so now I get my white sheet of paper. To get back to it. So I'll get my white sheet of paper. It doesn't seem to. And I float it in Windows. And now I click on my root, and I click on my move tool, and I move my root over. Then I go back to my root, and I rotate the image, flipping it horizontally. And then with the move tool, I bring the other root in. But I'm still not seeing much. So, sometimes the mundane can gain significance through repetition. So I decide I'll put 2 more roots in. So we rotate vertical. And we flip horizontal. Oh, I flipped the wrong thing horizontal. I did this. Oh, I got this. Okay, so now I move this in. And now I begin to see design elements, more design elements and less mud. And so I start Well, I think that image seems to want to come and visit. Now, so I have the complete composite here. And so now I, again, take it over to Camera Raw Filter. And do the basics. Clarity, texture, vibrance. Some curves. And of course some sharpening. And you can see now you can just have a lot of fun doing colors. You can take your brush tool and paint in some more saturation. It doesn't seem to want to cooperate. So don't take your brush tool. Let's go over to, let's go back into Photoshop. And this is I love to do these. Up in the adjustments panel, up images and then adjustments. They have these, the hue and saturation. You can take your yellows and just saturate the yellows or change the hue. Or you can just take the greens and saturate the greens, change the hue of the greens. So you see you're getting all kinds of interesting looks here. You can also go, see now I play around with this for hours. I find it really interesting, especially when I'm listening to the opera channel. And so anyway, eventually, the fat lady on the opera channel sings, and I get this. I decide on that. What you see is
that one printed over there?
yeah. So that's
We have a question back here.
pardon?
I just wondered.
I'll be Vanna.
Goes on Zoom, it has a 2x4 or 5 print.
Can you see it?
I'm sorry. Back under the light.
I don't even turn the room on.
There you go.
There we go. I'm moving the microphone close to you because they said they can hear you better from it.
So I call that my Swamp Root Symphony Quartet. Um, and I have some other, you want to see some other quartets? I have this one. This I made out of a, on the Wakiva River, out of these branches, and that turned out to be a Persian carpet.
What's that one's title?
It's Persian Carpet Dreams.
Was that flower in there? In the original, or you put the
No,
flower?
I put the flower in there. I did that afterward. Because it all seemed Persian to me, and I had this, and this flower is called a Turk's cap, so I had a photo of that, so I just put it in there. And so, and this is the twisted blue that you see over there. And recently I also, what?
Do you have the original of that?
The raw file?
The original, the raw.
The raw, I don't, I didn't bring it, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
But that's super cool that you start with something like that. Last time I would have looked at it on. Yeah.
I know, it's just mud. But once you go into the details, and yeah, it's fun. And lately I've been doing some octuplets. So here's some Queen Anne's lace that I got last summer, and here it is, octupled.
Oh my God. So that the fabric is
Yeah, or and lately I've been playing with selections, and this is a file I shot on the Oklawaha River, and there's about a mile on the Oklawaha River that is absolutely breathtakingly beautiful.
You
The whole,
award. You won that was a big award winner last year, didn't you? You won a big award.
yeah, one, yeah, yes. And there's about a mile on the Oklawaha River that looks like this. And the whole river was apparently like that until 1970s, when the Army Corps of Engineers came and put a dam put the Rodman Dam over the river. And the river keepers have been trying to get the river undammed ever since. But anyway, I digress.
Betsy says they're real close. They're getting down there.
I know, So anyway, back to my raw Oklawaha roots. So again, I cut at the water line. And go to image crop, and then rotate it 90 degrees clockwise. And it's kind of a mess. So, especially up at the top, and then this whole stuff down at the bottom. So first thing I try to do is get my brush tool and paint all that stuff out. But I don't know, it's just boring. So I try something else. I don't have my history panel here, so I don't know. There. And so then I get my lasso tool, and I make a selection. Of course, if I were doing this in real time, I'd be doing this very, very slowly and carefully, and with a big blow up, but you get the idea. So now we've got our selection with our marching ants. So now I go to the filter, and don't do that. Okay, so I go up to filter, and there are all these filters here. You can put blurs into it, or you can pixelate it, or stylize it. But I like this distort thing, and you can do ripples but I'm going to use twirl here. So twirl a little bit, and you get a twirl up there. So now you put the same twirl down here in this boring section. Now, to make the twirl a little bit more interesting, I'm going to go back to the filter section and go into liquefy, which you do portraits, you do use a lot of liquefying, making, frowns into smiles and getting rid of double chins and all that. But here I'm just going to make this swirl a little weird. So anyway, so this is, and then I deselect, and then I go back into the liquefy and do the swirl up here. Let's make it a little weird. Not quite so geometric. A little more down here. And now I see there's this weird white blob down here that looks like an eyeball. So I'm going to take my clone stamp and clone it into this place that looks like an eye socket.
Oh my God.
So, and then I get rid of, the eyeball down there. So, no, it's just really a lot of fun to do this. It's, I just can do it. So, now I get my white sheet, and I float it in Windows. And now that I take the move tool and move my root onto the white sheet. Then I go back to the root, flip it horizontally. So there we have what's beginning to look like a bull with a wall-eyed bull. So now I take so here I have the raw composite, which I now take into camera raw filter. For some texture, some clarity, some vibrance. Some curves. And some sharpen. And I'm going to try to get this brush tool. Good. And I'm going to add some saturation here, I think. Maybe a little. So you see, I mean, the possibilities are just infinite. Now you can go back into Photoshop and go up into adjustments and do your hue and saturation. You can do the master. Or you can do your blues. Uh, So you see, you can just color away like crazy. I like to also, so I mean, I just try everything, and then, yeah, in a minute, yeah.
Jack can be down, or Jack can be down.
Okay, I'll be, just, so, I do some color balance. So you see, there's a lot you can do. And, but sooner or later, the fat lady at the opera sings, and I decide on,
You should save that one, it's slightly different from the other one. Yeah, save that, if you want, save that.
yeah, you like that one? Okay.
Yeah, save that.
Well, it won't come up, so you're gonna have to look at that one. I call that the blue ox.
Lights, what do you say, Bert?
And I submitted him to the Barcelona photo biannual for this year, and they accepted it. So yeah,
You submitted Barcelona?
okay, I did. I saved it. Yeah, it is nice. Yeah.
Carolyn, do you have a graphics background or an art, or what's your background? I mean, this is very creative. I'm just wondering.
No, I always like to go to art museums, and even when I was a kid, if I was missing somebody, they'd say, "Is there an art museum somewhere?" I was always going to art museums. Yeah.
And to restate the question.
No, I'm under this kind of graphics background or an art background, to see this image from what it goes from to. You must have some concept also to, so you want to take.
Well, it's really, it evolves, and a lot of it depends on my mood. I mean, some days I see nothing but monsters, some days I see nothing but, pussycats. And it's all a matter of, Photoshop is just amazing. I've only scratched the surface here, all the different things that you can do to play, and it's just a lot of fun to do, and just it all comes out of mud.
So your screen is blank, are you ready for questions?
Sure.
Okay.
I also have a slideshow if you want to see it.
Yes.
It takes a while for it to come from the stick onto the screen. But any questions in the meantime?
She said any questions?
First, I have to say how impressed I am with the creativity that you have. I noticed that you're taking all these images from pictures that you're taking on the water.
Uh-huh.
Since you're describing the whole reflection, it's like you could really just wandering around in the bar somewhere, you see something interesting, take a picture of it, and you
Oh,
don't have
yeah,
to
no,
cut
this,
around the
you can do this with people's faces, and you
Yeah.
could do it with, flowers and architecture, and, yeah, but I just, what I like about the roots is that it's just, you know, it's such a chaotic,
Yeah.
material to work with, so that to wrestle it down into something is really interesting. So, but
It's an
yeah,
incredible eye to create something like that, starting out with, some roots. I'm very impressed. Yeah, that's.
Bill, your question?
No, I was just saying it's amazing. I mean, I know of the technique, but, not seen it executed like that well.
so here's a few more. Oh, unfortunately,
Oh, is it not working? You know why we're only sharing,
Oh, yeah.
Photoshop, let me get you out of, hold on a second, escape, Zoom, new share, and we're gonna do your screen. So whatever's active on your screen, so don't do any porn. That was a joke, nobody liked my joke. Okay, where's the slideshow?
huh? This whole thing.
Okay, then,
So you,
okay, no. Slideshow is already running. Please close the first slideshow and try again. Oh, escape.
escape, yes. All right. Yeah. Where is it? Let's open it. There. Okay, that's Blue Bayou. Obviously, I stuck the blue on there, the blue bird. And that's air plant totem.
You're good at names too. Oh, you have to, I mean, turn the lights on. Out.
That's Albert Einstein Rides Again.
There you go. Well, they want the problems. There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
That's like the alien queen.
Yeah. And that's Angry Granny. I was having a bad day that day. And that's just a big root face mask. I was experimenting with painting in the colors. And that you've seen. The blue ox. And, so,
Any lights back on?
no, blue ox doesn't seem to want to go, leave us. There we go. That's an air plant in the water. I call it the blue umbrella. And this is my version of the year 2000. And there's a crocodile head.
Is it really a crocodile?
No, it's just wood. But it looks. And this is Cyborg.
Whoa.
And And that's Death Warmed Over. And that's Devil on a Blue Hog. And this is a dwarf. Make these go a little faster, huh?
I think if you hit the little arrow,
I don't see the arrows. This is Elfin. This is E.T. from Planet Hell. This is it's Goldilocks. This is the Headless Dominatrix.
Calvin's put it on medium.
Okay. Okay, this is Inner Child Revealed. This is, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. And this is Lingerie. And this is a Neon Schnauzer. And this is a Neon Trilobite. And this is a Water Nymph. And this is a Parsley Moth. Some of these files are a lot bigger than others, so they take longer to move over. Although I didn't know that Parsley Moth was this big. I had to do, oh yeah, there we have Persian Carpet Dreams. And this is the same one that's over there. And this is Purple Leaves. And this is the Queen Anne's Lace ×8. And this is a Swamp Ghost. And this is Romulus and Remus. So, and this is, she's a man-eater. And this is Super Junkie. And this is a Blue Swamp Bear. This is Swamp Lettuce Devil Dog. And yeah, this is Hipster, Swampy Hipster.
Carolyn,
Yeah.
the flowers in the previous one, did you add those in, or were they part of the original?
No, I added that in.
You can give me the mic, because they can hear you.
Yeah. Okay, this is Swampy. Yes, and this is Swamp Dog Master. And this is Swamp Mandela. And this one you're seeing the symphony. And this is air plant totem. And this is Twisted Blue.
Carolyn, on average, how long does it take you to come, how many hours or minutes? I know it's not minutes, I'm sure it's hours. Does it take longer?
To make one of these? Oh, sometimes I'll go away and come back, a year later.
But when you sit down to work on it,
I work on it, I usually when I feel like it, and I put on some music and I just get into it for a few hours, 2 or 3 hours. And then if I don't like it, I come back some other day, and start over, or just leave it. I've got a huge amount of mud pictures that I can work on whenever I feel like it.
I actually have two questions. One is, do you ever go out, like you and Jack go out and do you come back every single time with something you want to work on?
No.
And then secondly, you said you entered in a Barcelona competition. Tell us how you got into the whole international thing.
Oh, well, this is website that's called Contest E.
They didn't contest what?
Photo contest E.
Guru.
Yeah. I heard about it from, what's her name? Christine Clark. And they have all these contests, international contests listed there. And I tried out for some of them, the cheap ones. I don't do the expensive ones. And and this was a few years ago. It was called the Julianne Cameron Women's Photography Competition, and I sent in 6 photographs of monochrome egrets from the alligator farm, and they like them, and so they put them in the show right at the front, and they move them up really big, and so I enter that every year. And
Which says you're keeping up your regular photography, your birding, right? You keep that up as well as your creative.
yeah.
Do you sell your work now?
Not really, no.
Have you exhibited?
No, well, I have, no, I've just been in the finale now for 3 years, and that's about it.
How do you determine the lights?
Yeah.
In the demonstration you did tonight, you were making all the changes and adjustments on effectively the background layer. Do you normally work with multiple layers, or
Well, I like to do it this way, and but you can do everything that I was doing using the layers palette.
yeah, I was thinking like
But I
smart
find
objects or
I'm quite dyslexic, And there's something about layers, palette, that's very difficult for me to, up is down and down is up, and I can't keep it straight. So this is, this is better for me. So. But yeah, you can do all this on layers, and if you have if you have the right mind for it, it's probably better. But it's not.
Well, Diana can lead us in class on that part. Diane. Okay, well, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. That was really fun. All right, we're turning it back over. No, come here, sir, Mr. President.
There's no way to follow that, so we'll just call it a day. Have a good night, all. Thanks, everybody.
What restaurant are we going to? What restaurant are we going to?
Mavies?
Nabby's?
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.